Kaka. I'm the founder of In Crypto. I'm a cryptocurrency trader, blockchain consultant, and I'm one of the Okex partners in Nigeria. I've been using OKX since 2018. My experience of using OKX has been fantastic. The platform is safe and secure for traders. The user interface is really clean.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Okex Talks. This is actually the second episode for this 2022, and it comes with a very interesting topic. This program is brought to you by Okex Africa in collaboration with Coins Extra TV. My name is Lee Chomohere. I'm the moderator for this show. I'm going to lead you through on this show. You know how we do it. This is a program where we discuss everything about blockchain and cryptocurrency. We invite different speakers, innovators in the ecosystem to come. And it's also a program where we educate you about blockchain, cryptocurrency, and how you can leverage it to create innovations and also creating wealth. So today we have an interesting topic here. We're going to be talking about blockchain in 2022. So how are we going to be seeing blockchain? You know, you can talk about blockchain, you can bring in other one, cryptocurrency, but we're going to be focusing majorly on blockchain. So blockchain in 2022. Let's see, we know what happened. Along the line, we'll be able to read out and discuss some of the top headlines in 2021. Some of those top headlines. Then we get into 2022 and see how is 2022 going to be. What does it hold for us in this industry? So not wasting much of the time. Let me also acknowledge and also for the not joining us yet, the host, Mr. Paul, is the business development team lead of Okex Africa. Also, going to be introducing our guests. We have two guests for this show today, amazing guests who are knowledgeable about this industry. So they have a lot of experience here. So and it's very good that we have them from different regions. Let me welcome to our number one guest here. First on the list is Shedrack Tobanyan, who is the CEO of Coronet Blockchain. You're welcome, Shedrack.
Thank you kindly, Lee, and greetings to you and the Quenyus Extra audiences, and of course the Okex Talks Africa audiences. It's good to be here, and I send greetings from South Africa and from my team at Coronet Blockchain. Thank you kindly.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us. I know you are knowledgeable about this ecosystem and to sharing your knowledge. We really appreciate. So thank you very much. Let me welcome our second guest. Our second guest for tonight is Tyler Farnsworth, who is a marketing officer built by Gamers. You are welcome, Tyler.
Yes, welcome everyone. It's wonderful to be on this audience or on this show here today with Coin News Extra. I come from the United States. We're an esports organization based in the United States that is using blockchain to really help our fans and help our fan engagement platform. So we're thrilled about the adoption of blockchain technology in the world of esports. Excited to talk to the audience today or tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's our pleasure having you. It's a very good one that we have two guests who are knowledgeable about the ecosystem from two different regions. So Kubanya will be speaking from Africa, and you'll be speaking Tyler from United States. So it's a very good one. So we'll be able to share knowledge and see what the future holds for us. So for our audience, you know how we run the show. It's a very amazing one, a very interactive program. So do well to drop your questions and comment on the comment section. So if you have questions about this topic, anything you have in mind for our guests, or what you have in mind will be happening in 2022, do well to drop them on the comment section. When we get to that stage, we'll begin your question. So do well to follow OKS on their social media, Okex Africa, Twitter and Telegram at Okex Africa. So and also you can follow Coins TV across all our social media at cntv.io. That's our website, or just cntv1 is where you can get us, our handle across different social media handles. So right about now, we'll go for a very short break. And when we return, we delve into the discussion proper. We'll be right back.
Studio Kaka. I'm the founder of In Crypto. I'm a cryptocurrency trader, blockchain consultant, and I'm one of the Okex partners in Nigeria. I've been using Okex since 2018. My experience of using Okex has been fantastic. The platform is safe and secure for traders. The user interface is really clean. There were so many challenges that I was having with other exchanges that are not found in Okex. Okex is one of those platforms where you can trade with peace of mind. Take for example the trading volume. Okex trading volume is really legit. Their listing criteria must be really good because you won't find those shit coins, that are just out there to scam you. I would recommend Okex to other people because of the security of the exchange. Okex is one of those exchanges that has never been hacked.
Welcome back to the show. It's still Okex show brought to you by Okex Cryptocurrency Exchange. So we're talking about blockchain in 2022. So we have amazing guests who are joining us from different regions, America and Africa, to discuss about this interesting topic. So let's just go down the lane of some of the activities that happened in 2001, in 2021, I think. 2021 was a very amazing year. So we had some buzzwords like metaverse, NFTs, DeFi, scaling solutions, and some other things about blockchain. And we also had some nations are looking toward cryptocurrency as well, the likes of El Salvador. So we were looking at some of those topics that made headlines. A lot of them. We also here in Africa, we saw some nations looking towards adopting blockchain when it comes to financial services. We see the likes of Nigeria leading the way in CBDC. So we had e-Naira, which was the first African CBDC. So a lot of interesting discussions when it comes to this ecosystem. We had about when we talk about metaverse, what happened last year, 2021. Facebook was able to announce they migrated, they changed their name to Meta, and they are building a metaverse platform. So we had the likes of virtual real estate. These are top headlines and discussions for 2021. So which is an interesting one. So you're talking about scaling solutions. When you talk about blockchain, there are some challenges around it. People are looking at what are some of those scaling solutions. So, and a lot of discussions are around these are the ones I could not be able to remember. I know I have a knowledgeable guest when it comes to this. So we'll be able to look at some of the highlights of some major events and headlines in 2021. A lot of things. Blockchain also came to limelight with cryptocurrency 2021. So we saw institutional investors, we saw the likes of Elon Musk, we saw a lot of things that happened. So I've been able to read out some of them. We saw El Salvador adoption of blockchain and cryptocurrency. All these and more. How would you rate the adoption rate of crypto and blockchain in 2021? Let me start with you, Tobias. Are you on mute? Check if you're on mute.
Oh, yes. I'm just unmuted. I was just asking for going ahead first because we are hosting him in Africa.
Okay. Tyler, can you go ahead? He's asking you go ahead
You,
first.
you you bet. I will. The adoption of cryptocurrency in 2021 was pretty impressive. I would say that it went beyond the individuals who were very focused in the world of blockchain and cryptocurrency, and it went out into the masses. You saw the rise of the NFT in early 2021, when you started seeing things with NBA Top Shots, and then you just saw this huge avalanche of NFTs going down. I mean, everywhere. You saw everybody thinking about it and talking about it. People who have never owned or traded crypto at all were trying to figure out how to purchase an NFT, not because they knew what it was, but they understood that it was something, that it was big, that something was happening, and it was more of just not wanting to miss out. What we've seen and what we hope is that NFTs move beyond simply the speculative nature that exists today, and more people can recognize the true utility that can exist within NFTs, not just collectability. So that was exciting. I think that, like you mentioned, Facebook's change to Meta, and just the continued introduction of digital goods, and the way you can show up, or the way that your virtual experience can exist, was certainly big this last year. And just the rise of new crypto wallets, wallets that were easier to use, easier to adopt. It's still not as easy as it should be or can be, I think, but we've seen more individuals who were entering the world of crypto and blockchain, and I think we're set up for 2022 for that just to continue to rise.
Yeah, interested just to hear from you on that. Let me hear from you, Kobaya. How do you rate the adoption rates for 2021?
Thank you, Kylie. And you know what? Those are some great insights from Tyler. I was making some good notes there. Great to be in the cockpit with the best of the breed. Great to be here. You know, from my desk, I work mainly in the blockchain space from a supply chain implementation. So even though we've been monitoring the eNaira as it comes onto the grid and as it evolved, I think it touched about 20,000 downloads by I think November, and now there's that race that is picking into the new year, picking up on the momentum from last year, where the eNaira is trying to hit the 50,000 marks. I mean the 50,000 milestone downloads or adoption. So it's not without its challenges, because with that particular trajectory of the eNaira, we are seeing a dynamic whereby the core ledger that the eNaira, or the central bank digital currency, the central bank of Nigeria is running, now has to be more democratized, meaning it has to be more inclusive, because it's one thing to have a working eNaira as a platform solution, but it's another thing as it scales into adoption to see the APIs be distributed more democratically to the institutional entities across the financial services and other adjacent sectors that will need to plug in for Nigeria as the lead in the central bank digital currencies on the continent, to realize more tangible, functional, lowering of barriers, adoption, so that it doesn't end up being a government project dreamt of by the government and kind of like staying with the government. It should also, from a social economic perspective, it should not feel like it's been forced down the throat of Nigerians. So we will be observing that. On the supply chain side, we have seen a number of supply chain shocks and maritime industry nightmares that are indicating that shipping ledgers are overdue the blockchain, because you can have myself sending an item to Tyler and there's about 200 to 300 paperworks between us. We can't have that. We need one ledger and a lot more fun. Industries kind of like catch a wake up and kind of like lean forward for adoption. So we'll see who holds up on that front. Thank you kindly.
Thank you very much. You know, when I was doing reading out some of the headlines, I forgot to mention some other headlines in Africa, so which we also made Prime Minister. So it was in 2021, April, around April, that we launched the first of its kind in the industry. So it's part of it. It made the headline as well. We launched the first 247 live broadcasting TV platform for the industry with total focus on blockchain, crypto, and fintech. Thank you very much. So these are ways we are seeing adoption rates. In 2021, the adoption increased and all the rest of them. So, and there are some challenges as well, even though the adoption increased, the adoption rate increased. There are some challenges that the industry itself faced. So, what are some of those challenges faced last year when it comes to adoption? Let me, Kuba, you can lead the way to.
Yeah, thank you, kindly. Challenges that we are seeing, or rather that kind of like showed up in 2021 is that you cannot use a government mindset to kind of like regulate a crypto sector because it's a very free-spirited sector. It's actually the very first pure version of democracy, since democracy was dreamt up back in Greece. In Parthenon, it was not possible without blockchain, because if you look at my early grade, democracy is a government by the people, for the people, and in collaboration with the people. Financially speaking, before blockchain or decentralized ledgers. So we are seeing a bit of a shock, where governments have to come up with a bit of humility. When I say governments, I'm talking about the US, that also saw a bit of pushback. The SEC with those tensions with Ripple. We have seen India like thinking about banning crypto again, to go back to the knee-jerk reaction of 2020. We are seeing also Nigeria that kind of like put a moratorium on crypto at a very wrong time, because on the one hand, you're saying we are for the blockchain because we are now bringing in Naira, but on the other side, you are closing the other tab, So we are seeing some teething challenges there, where some people are trying to use old school mindsets to come into this sector of decentralized ledgers, which really require more collaboration, not as a lip service, but as a really a muscle memory, and working together without borders. So yeah, those are some of the challenges that were picking their head during 2021.
Yes, they're very interesting, because one of the challenges that the industry faced last year was regulation. So we saw the likes of Nigeria, their stand on crypto, and also they still went ahead to launching their CBDC. Let me hear from you, Tyler, from your own region. Where are some of the challenges?
Yeah, those were some excellent points that were just made. And I think that we're going to continue to see those as governments try to catch up. They're very much playing catch up, and governments historically do not move as quickly as we all do in the private sector. On another side of it, even outside of the governments, there's very much a user education gap that still exists, and people like yourself and your show are helping with that, to help people understand. It's a challenging concept sometimes for people to understand the distributed ledger or digital currency, but it's changing. It's happening. Some folks or some companies like Coinbase have been doing a pretty good job of helping to teach and educate on simple elements of blockchain and cryptocurrency, but there's still a long way to go from there. The other thing is that so much of cryptocurrency is still complicated for the general person to understand. And so as greater user experiences and better technologies, better applications that help general consumers to onboard in simpler ways, that will help us all. And so, I know right now there's seed phrases and MetaMask wallet and Trust Wallet and all of these various wallets. And, as things continue to increase in ease of adoption, in education, as things start to, right now it's just growing larger and larger and larger and larger. But as certain things start to settle down a bit and unify, I think we can help adoption overall.
Interesting there. let me look at, we are still talking about 2021. There's no way you create a new road without going through the old one. So that's why we're trying to go through the old road 2021 before we delve into 2022. And let's look at what were some of your defining moments, Tyler, in 2021.
For us in the world of esports, our defining moment was simply indicating that we are going to be a part of this space, right? So historically in the world of esports, the way that the revenue model works is advertising. Advertisers are paying for sponsorships, and that brings revenue in, and then we can create more content, we can have more eyeballs, we can have more talent on our teams. But what we knew is that we needed to give the fan an opportunity to be rewarded for being a fan, for watch time, for attending events. We knew that we also wanted to bring in NFTs into our process. So both collectibles as well as redeemables, whether those were tickets for live events or redeemables for merchandise, or other ways that someone could showcase that they are a fan of our organization. So a defining moment for us was indicating that we were going to join this space. We have used a wallet called Handcash that makes it very, very simple for our fans to engage with. We have educated our fans. We have rolled it out. We have educated our professional players across our games. We have educated our staff internally. All of these were key defining moments for us, and not just rushing into the world of NFTs and doing it poorly, but being very methodical and thoughtful about how we can use NFTs for utility and not just speculation.
Interesting to hear that. Let me hear from you, Kubaya, your defining moments last year.
Thank you kindly. Some brilliant points delivered by Tyler from the team's perspective. I love it when he says they had to be more methodic, more intentional in what they roll out and not just dive into the pool. I appreciate that, because even though blockchain and cryptocurrency are an emerging sector, there are certain old school things that don't change, such as clear direction, clear path, and sound vision. I like that from my dear colleague here. From my side, last year in 2021, we saw a lot more engagement between Coronet blockchain and African governments on the east of Africa and even on the west of Africa. And of course, our home turf, Southern Africa. So we did a bit more tech and blockchain diplomacy and a bit of travels just to engage the right stakeholders, because in order for the blockchain sector to go even more mainstream, we need all hands on deck. We need a wider variety of stakeholders that are even outside the sector. We need signatures across board. So we did a bit of traveling last year as one of the milestones, where we just kind of like went deeper into the continent. I know my team is also planning other trips that are more towards the ocean, your Madagascar, your Mauritius. So a bit of travel just to bring awareness on a face-to-face, through conventions, through conferences, in line with the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, in terms of how blockchain can power those wheels of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. Another thing that I want to agree with Tyler on there in terms of awareness and education is not just on the consumer side or B2C, but we are also seeing a B2B deficit of skills here in Africa, where we do not have, as Coronet Blockchain, the platform itself, we are delving deeper into refining our platform and just bringing it to global grade. But we found that Africa is still on a back footing in terms of a skills deficit. In terms of quality grade pass, we still see Africa importing a bit more skills. That's something that we are changing. And talking about that, I also had the privilege to be invited by the Southern Africa institutions to data science forum, which is actually changing that narrative. Actually bring up more training in terms of technical skill, I have been kind of juggling various while I'm running Coronet, while I'm engaging African governments, but I've also been kind of like helping to pave the runaway so that Africa can gain some lost ground on the skills deficit. So last but not least, Africa saw $5 billion worth of funding being pumped into the continent last year. The challenge in that is that not a lot of that is going towards blockchain as yet. A lot of it is kind of like being cannibalized within the fintech space, which is a good thing because those are our colleagues on the fintech side. We are also, I think there's one or two more unicorns that went past the $100 million barrier in terms of raising capital. So that $5 billion, it was more than the 3 years before last year. All the 3 years combined, we raised more funding in Africa last year, but the challenge is that there's still a need for quality founders that understand blockchain. And thanks to Coin News Extra, kind of like pumping up the awareness, we need more quality founders to really delve into the pool and really start to highlight and challenges. Thank you kindly.
Thank you very much. With a very interesting final moment over there. You guys had. We also had an interesting one over here as well. I must say, 2021 was a very big year for the industry. So right about now, we're going to be going for a short break. Let's go and check some other things. Very quick break. We take just a water break. Then we'll return with the discussion about 2022, what our expectations and the things we want to see in 2022. We'll be right back.
Kaka. I'm the founder of InCrypto. I'm a cryptocurrency trader, blockchain consultant, and I'm one of the Okex partners in Nigeria. I've been using OKX since 2018. My experience of using OKX has been fantastic. The platform is safe and secure for traders. The user interface is really clean. There were so many challenges that I was having with other exchanges that are not found in OKX. OKX is one of those platforms where you can trade with peace of mind. Take for example the trading volume. OKX trading volume is really legit. Their listing criteria must be really good because you won't find those shit coins, that are just out there to scam you. I would recommend OKX to other people because of the security of the exchange. OKX is one of those exchanges that has never been hacked.
CNETV, the first and leading 24/7 live broadcasting blockchain, cryptocurrency and fintech TV application. On our mobile app, you have access to our latest news updates ranging from esports, fintech, iGaming, blockchain, cryptocurrency and artificial intelligence. We bring to you interviews, analyses, cryptocurrencies, market reviews and live events. Download our app today from your iOS or Google Play Store or on our website at cnetv.io. CNETV, objectivity is our watchword.
Welcome back to the show. It's still OKS Talk Show brought to you by OKS Cryptocurrency Exchange. So we're talking about blockchain in 2022. A very interesting discussion we've had so far from our guests. We've been shedding light on different activities and highlights things that happened in 2021. So we have gone past 2021. Let's look at the future now. We've seen things that happened last year. What are your expectations this year when it comes to blockchain adoption? Before we take that question, let me remind our audience that they can drop their questions. If you have questions, please do well to drop it on the comment section. Very soon we'll be taking those questions and we'll be doing justice to them. So what are some of the expectations this year when it comes to blockchain adoption? Let's look critically on blockchain adoption. What are the expectations, Brian? Let me know you are into more of blockchain aspect.
Thank you kindly. Before I lean into the expectations or the horizon for 2022, I'm just reflecting on a short line that I think it's Mercedes, the vehicle company, that actually shared, I think it's earlier today, with regards to the Lewis Hamilton dynamic. They said something very cryptic, maybe they are going into the crypto sector. They said something cryptic. They said, when faced with challenges, some are broken, whereas others break records. So it's an interesting a line to hear in the context of what the other sport is going through, the Formula One. So what does that got to do with blockchain and 2022? Very interestingly, you mentioned earlier on the metaverse. We were picturing the metaverse. We are looking at the numbers for e-commerce on the African continent. Thanks to the COVID lockdowns, there's just a more wider, more aggressive adoption of e-commerce on the African continent. In South Africa last year, the e-commerce numbers reached about 70% of consumers were shopping online. 50% of them were actually buying just groceries, whereas the other 20% balance were buying a whole variety of other things. The numbers are coming through from the rest of the African continent and the world. But why is that important? When you look at e-commerce and you look at blockchain, e-commerce exists in the trust economy. Blockchain is an enabler of the trust economy on a much more unparalleled level. You can't speak trust and speak traditional banking, because traditional banking it's trapped in its own archaic 200-year-old methods or methodologies, whereas the blockchain sector is a lot more bold, a lot more transparent, a lot more collaborative, which is how we want financial services to be. So where I'm linking blockchain and e-commerce for 2022 and the code that I mentioned earlier on, it was e-commerce in terms of just nudging consumers to trust and part with their money online, was almost asking Hussein to kind of like sprint across 100 meters, or asking Lewis Hamilton to kind of like negotiate that corner in Monaco. However, we're just going to throw a spanner in the works. We're going to introduce the metaverse. So it's not enough that there's some trust issues or some trust deficit in the e-commerce world. There is a metaverse now coming into full fruition. That's throwing a spanner in the works, because in the meta world, or in the meta universe, or the metaverse, it's not clear what's real. It's not clear who the good people are, or who the good or the bad cop is. So the need for blockchain as a trust mechanism, or a trust leverage and a neutralizer, has just been amplified by metaverse now coming mainstream. I mean, we are seeing scenarios where human body scans are already scanning people, where you will have a digital twin out there. But which digital twin is that? Is that the one that's been copied, or is that the real one? Who is fetching groceries off the shelves with the cryptocurrency that belongs in my wallet? So metaverse is really throwing a spanner in the works for the Lewis Hamiltons of this world, for the Usain Bolts of this world, in terms of the B2C or the facing. So we're going to see 2022 where there's just a closer, there's a lesser divide between financial services and the traditional economy in terms of e-commerce. And with the metaverse being kind of like coming into the fold, now the lights are just, the floodlights are on for bring through the blockchain mechanisms, from your tokens to the cryptocurrencies, to the supply chain enablement of the DLTs. That's the one thing. Governments are also catching a wake up this year. You can't have a love-hate relationship with crypto. You can't have a love-hate relationship with blockchain. You are either on this side of the fence the fun side, or your side of the fence, which is a miserable side because there's a lot of pushback there. You know, the people are demanding a much more transparent financial services and economy. And of course, on the business side, last but not least, about 10, 15 years ago, there was a big hype, even in America and across the world, where factories were moving to China, all in the name of cost cutting. But the pandemic, in terms of pandemic proofing, gave us a wake-up call, because look at BMW, the other car company. By the time the pandemic hit, BMW was very exposed to risk, and that's why they need blockchain. Like yesterday, they had 12,000 suppliers across 60 countries just to produce one BMW vehicle. A nightmare. That is like how many ledgers? That's like what, 2,000 ledgers? Because the part supplier, part this and part that. So the need for decentralized ledgers has just been amplified by the need to see more pandemic proofing. And yes, as an automotive sector, manufacturing sector are tinkering with blockchain to some level, but we need to see mainstream adoption, not just lip service or hype.
Yeah, very interesting. You know, there's this saying in the ecosystem: blockchain is, instead of trusting an individual, you can trust the entire community, because it brings a level of trust. When it comes, blockchain brings a high level of trust. You don't have to have trust issues. And also, I believe also about metaverse. I see metaverse is going to be, I believe from my own point of view, that metaverse is going to be having great future this year and beyond. Let me hear from you, Tyler, from the esports aspect of it. And generally, how do you see blockchain adoption this year?
Yeah, I love what was just shared. That I could listen to you speak all day. That was absolutely incredible. And trust, and that was such a good point. Trust is at the core of this, because trust enables speed, trust enables partnership, trust enables individuals to commit to doing something. And unfortunately, we are in that part of adoption. We're in the part of the adoption curve where there's a lot of scam going on. There are a lot of bad actors that come in. This happens in any adoption curve. It always happens. It happens, you know, if you look throughout history, whenever some new wave of technology occurs, there's the early adopters, the early creators, and then there are people who try to figure out ways to exploit it. And then it kind of dips, and then it rises from there as people move beyond that. And I think we've seen some of that in the world of NFTs this past year, as a lot of scammers, or some in the world of shitcoin who've created things that just don't have value. We're moving beyond those. We had to do that, unfortunately, but we're moving past. I just this morning came back from Las Vegas, where I was attending this consumer electronics show, CES, and it was amazing to see how many people were interested in what is going on in blockchain. How is their company doing things on the blockchain? And we need to not just be doing things because it sounds cool, and I don't think most folks are, but we have to continue to do things because the utility exists, because the speed exists, because it allows their customers to be able to interact and engage more freely, and frankly, it will help with cost. Cost should come down as more of this occurs. Earlier in the show, we talked about developers and how there's really a lack. And that lack is, from what I'm seeing, not just in the continent of Africa, but I'm seeing a lack of developers worldwide. More people here in 2022 will be coming into the space. We're seeing some of the largest companies, Facebook, Google, Apple, Tesla, who their employees are leaving to come over to the world of blockchain. They are leaving those big companies in droves to come and develop in the world of blockchain. That is wonderful. That is helpful to our entire ecosystem. And the other point that was made, I couldn't agree more with as well, when it comes to looking at just the movement of goods and services, the supply chain issues that occur. I also think the continued digitization of health records, as well as the of voting. So voting systems around the world. As you saw in the United States with our last presidential election, there was a lot of concern around the integrity of that election. I don't know how that all happened, but we know that we still use paper records a lot in the United States. And as we can move beyond that to an immutable record on a ledger that is, a public ledger that can exist, perhaps that can put more confidence in democracy, more confidence in election systems. It's not going to be led by governments. People don't trust governments mostly. So it needs to be led by the private sector. And then the government can learn from the governments around the world can learn from the private sector, because the private sector, we can innovate more quickly. We can do things without the legacy elements of government. I'm so excited about what's happening here in 2022.
Yeah, interesting, nice one. Very interesting discussion. So I see, a lot of activities happened last year, 2021, and we also know that metaverse also and NFT also helped in blockchain and crypto adoption. Would there be more adoption? Because of our time, we have barely 20 minutes. We also have a segment where we'll be able to pick questions from our audience, so that we can make it brief. Would there be more adoption of crypto than blockchain this year? Let me start with you, Tyler. How do you see 2022?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just getting faster and faster as more people become comfortable with it, as more trust is imparted. It will absolutely become more and more and more. Now, the metaverse, let's talk about that just for a quick minute. The metaverse, yes, we are seeing it as these digital twins or this virtual universe. I think it's even more simplistic than that. I know that Mark Zuckerberg stands up and creates this grand vision like Ready Player One, and this duality. Yes, we will be there as well. But I think we all exist in the metaverse right now. And what I mean by that is we have digital avatars. We have Twitter. We have, if you play video games, you have a digital version of yourself in a video game. You might buy a digital skin or an item. You have a prominence online. I'm not interacting with you guys in person right now. So I think e-commerce, we mentioned e-commerce earlier. We are all invested in e-commerce right now. If you use Shopify, or if you use any sort of wallet, even if it's a traditional fiat currency, we exist in a digital sphere right now. So the gap between that and the metaverse really is not that large. Will we see more digital worlds? Sure, absolutely. But I think that if we simplify the concept of the metaverse more, it'll help with adoption, because it won't seem so foreign or so odd to most people.
Thank you very much for that. Kubaya, do you think more crypto adoption than blockchain? Crypto is easier to adopt. Blockchain is kind of it's a two-way something. The individuals prefer adopting cryptocurrency. Governments prefer adopting blockchain. How do you see? Do you think crypto will prevail over blockchain, like more adoption of crypto than blockchain this year?
That's a brilliant question, and I have to agree with my colleague Tyler here. He brought up a very fascinating picture that there's already a level of digital dust or digital presence that we all have and that we all share in the metaverse. I like that. As he was talking about that, I almost thought about this picture that it's like we've already placed the man on the moon in the metaverse, but now we must just head there in order to kind of like build a bit of a neighborhood that is going to kind of like scale that presence. So yes, we have already begun tinkering with a number of things there. With that being said, I was looking at some numbers from Chain Analysis, one of the industry leaders. They looked at last year. That last year saw about 880% increase in the adoption of crypto, thanks to P2P platforms, which actually speaks to what Tyler was saying, that we are already there. We already have some form of kind of like digital hang of things. It's just a matter of now scaling to a more embedded or a more functional approach, but we are there already. And yes, when it comes to government or communities now adopting or insisting on blockchains, we are seeing that because last year we had a convention with Canada where a number of incoming interests leaned forward, and we are seeing that our vision of taking blockchain beyond the hair extension supply chain, or rather beyond beauty, into food and fashion, is now having to happen now rather than in 2030. We are getting a demand from every side. So, and demand is not coming out of air, it's coming out of needs on the ground, because Africa is also facing a food deficit. I think by 2025, we are going to be importing, we are going to see a food import bill in Africa of about 100 billion US dollars, meaning despite having arable land of about 60% of the global total here in Africa, we are not optimizing that land. And it's a nightmare, even when you farm the land, for you to send food, say from Kenya to South Africa. There was a scenario last year where Kenya had an influx, or rather an oversupply of potatoes that were actually going off there at the harbor. Whereas here in South Africa, we had a deficit of potatoes, and certain potato chips, snacks had to be pulled off the shelf because the demand was outstripping supply, thanks to the COVID lockdowns and supply chain shocks, and also the laborious paperwork. Last year, we also saw West Africa kind of like locate their voice 200 years later and telling Switzerland that, listen, we want to manufacture our own chocolate. Are going to stay on the other side of the ocean.
Yeah, because of our time, we just have like 15 minutes.
Oh, yes.
So we need to take some questions from our audience.
Yes.
But let me take this from you before we take questions from the audience. Let me start with Tyler. What were some of your personal, just in 1 minute, what were some of your personal company achievements last year, and how are you positioning for 2022? Tyler, let me start with you in 1 minute.
Yeah. This last year was working to integrate blockchain technology into our company's ecosystem. So finding developers, partnering with tech partners that could allow us to do that, helping our customer base understand that. That was a big achievement this past year. This next year is putting gasoline on that, just helping to grow the overall adoption, helping people see that there's utility in this, and not just, we need to give people reasons to want to adopt the wallet, to adopt, to leverage what we are doing in a bigger way. So this next year, we are also traveling, and we will be at various conferences speaking about how esports and blockchain are combining. And so this next year, we're investing a lot in the technology, in the adoption, in partnerships, and excited about the future that we're bringing here.
Yeah, thank you very much. Kubaya, let me hear from you.
Thank you kindly. So a quick one on that. Last year, we saw a coverage through 100 media features on our Coronet blockchain brand. That was quite a success. We aimed for 3 years, but it happened in 1 year, where we received such a strong visibility, number one. Number two, we also did a bit of traveling, and we also positioned ourselves among the leading blockchain voices on the continent. This year, we are going full grid to really see blockchain within our ecosystem, or within our functionalities, move beyond beauty into food and fashion. So we've got some exciting things under wraps, including a business day conference area. Thank you kindly.
Thank you very much. Right about now, let me look at some of the questions from our audience and see what they are saying. Let me look at this one here. Do you see, from people law, do you see government and regulation dominating this year? Somebody's asking, do you see government and regulations dominating this year? Anybody can take the question.
You know, when it comes to regulation, it is what you call it. It's the nature of the beast. Change is not easy. And when we speak of government, we're actually speaking about human beings that are in the leadership positions. So we're not going to wait for pushback to lessen. We are going to co-create a parallel blockchain universe that is going to really kind of like have a suction force and bring the community to our side. We are not going to wait and say, only if the government permits us. We are innovators, we are entrepreneurs. With or without the blessings from the powers that be, we are going to create the future we want.
I love that.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I completely agree. Government is made up of people, right? Just like was said, government is not a thing. It's not an entity. It is the people who create it. I also know if we wait for government to figure it out, it will never be figured out. It has to be created by the private sector. That said, we cannot be anarchists, right? We have to work together to ensure that adoption can happen. And so having the right lobbyists, the right smart people involved in governments around the world will allow us to do it the right way. Otherwise, we're going to face immense resistance. You know, you see every government around the world is going to want a piece of the pie. Taxation is how they operate. And so you see the digital yuan, you see these different things that are occurring, you know, there in the continent of Africa as well. So there's going to have to be this symbiotic relationship because regulation is coming. I am interested to see what the SEC in the United States continues to do, what the IRS will do. But like was mentioned, we will not be waiting. We will charge full force ahead. Kind of like you saw with Uber here in the United States. Uber didn't wait for permission to create a new taxi service. They said, this isn't working. We're going to do it better. And yes, they had regulators come at them and try to shut them down, but they made a better system and we're all better off for it.
Okay, thank you. This one is directed to Kovanya. It's a Shedra, to Shedra. Do you think Africa is ready for blockchain? They are asking. This from Karen John.
That's a good one. You know, to respond to that question, I am going to borrow a saying by an anonymous wise person who said, whether you are ready for the morning or not, the sun is going to come out, you see? So I think we have to kind of like avoid playing catch up in Africa. We are also seeing scenarios where Nigeria, for an example, due to the trust issues that exist between Nigeria and the Twitter company, is still suspended. So blockchain is needed in the media space and every other space. What Tyler said about tax, Amazon is being taxed by Nigeria, and every other e-commerce are now being made to be taxed. Those tax regimes can be rolled out without blockchain. So yes, we need blockchain more than ever.
Okay, just one more question just of our time. The last question here: will government still have influence if meta adoption stands strong? Tyler, you can try that.
I think that they certainly will. Meta is interesting because it's not just going to be at the beginning. It's not going to be a singular place. It'll be a collection of all kinds of different things, and so you will have government trying to exert influence everywhere they can. But just like we are in the world we are right now, government always lags. You know, there's always a lag behind. They see innovation happen, and then government tries to figure out how can they play. Unfortunately, when they come on too strong, it can stifle innovation. It can hold us back. And so I think that the best companies out there are going to figure out ways to work together to say, hey, we're going to innovate, but also we are going to create systems that are not standing in contrast to government, but are putting out an olive branch to say, hey, here are governments around the world. Here are ways that you can work together with us. Here are ways that we are showing that we are going to fight against scams or terrorism or these sorts of things. We're going to keep some of the poor elements or the bad elements of society off, but still make it very accessible. And also, I think where it's going to be very useful is where they show, hey, this is how this technology in this metaverse, for example, can benefit your people and your government, and showing that, hey, we can work hand in glove together with you.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you so much. That's all we can take from our audience. Before we join the curtain on the show, let me get your closing remarks. Let me start with you, Tyler. Your closing remarks, just in 1 minute.
Absolutely. First off, I appreciate the invitation. There's so much good going on around this world, in the world of blockchain. This world has become even more flat as we have blockchain technology increasing. I know that the world of esports is massive. It is continuing to rise. Everybody games. Over 3 billion people around the world play video games, whether it's mobile or on PC or on some sort of other device. And the world of gaming brings people together. And so I'm excited about where it's heading, that blockchain can continue to add additional value, that we can show attribution to our advertisers and sponsors. And we also feel that the people who are in our ecosystem, the people who game, are more willing to adopt cryptocurrencies. And so this next year, we're thrilled for the future of adoption and being a part of that.
Thank you very much. Shedrack?
Thank you kindly. First and foremost, I must thank you and the Quenus team for the courtesy host. I must also thank Okex for extending us the invitation. Great to be here. On a parting note, though, I must also commend both of you as individuals. You, on the other hand, Lee, as the visionary, you exude selflessness that is really welcoming and helping to lift the needle for blockchain adoption. Keep at it beyond Lagos, beyond Abuja, into the rest of the world. And of course, Tyler, one word that kept coming up throughout our discussion today is collaborate, collaborate, collaborate. So I totally resonate with that we need a more collaborative world. That's the spirit of blockchain. Apart from the machinery of the trust economy, we need that collaboration. So more collaboration from our side as Coronet Blockchain, and more collaboration across our peers and partners. Thank you kindly.
Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen. Also, thank you, our audience. It's Okex Talk Show, but it's a cryptocurrency exchange in conjunction with Coins Extra TV. So today has really been an amazing discussion. Blockchain in 2022. I learned a lot from these two amazing gentlemen, innovators, and people that have been playing a part, making a part in the ecosystem. Thank you very much, our host, Okex. Thank you, our audience who took our time in joining us. So in case you still have questions about this topic or anything around blockchain or crypto, do well to reach out to our guests. You can as well reach out to Okex on social media, Okex Africa, both on Twitter and Telegram, or you can reach us to us, CNTV1. Check us across different social media handles. So no problem. Thank you so much. This show comes your way next week, same time, same station. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Kindly.
Thank
to
you.
Be continued.
Stuju Kaka. I'm the founder of InCrypto. I'm a cryptocurrency trader, blockchain consultant, and I'm one of the Okex partners in Nigeria. I've been using Okex since 2018. My experience of using Okex has been fantastic. The platform is safe and secure for traders. The user interface is really clean. There were so many challenges that I was having with other exchanges that are not found in Okex. Okex is one of those platforms where you can trade with peace of mind. Take, for example, the trading volume. Okex trading volume is really legit. Their listing criteria must be really good because you won't find those shit coins, that are just out there to scam you. I would recommend Okex to other people because of the security of the exchange. Okex is one of those exchanges that has never been hacked.